Hey y'all, welcome to the Hey Learning series. I'm Lauren with Langhold Studio and it's Friday. And it's Friday the 13th and you're lucky because we're getting into the basics of modern calligraphy. That's a terrible joke. It only took me this entire morning to get that. We're going to be looking at the basic strokes of modern calligraphy. This topic is definitely one of my most requested topics to get into. And so I figure, why don't we get into the basics of it? Because if you learn the basics, you can learn the rest of it really, really easily. Modern calligraphy is a writing technique that is intentional and takes time. Each letter form in the modern calligraphy alphabet is made up of the same 9 brush strokes. If you can learn those, you can learn the rest of it really, really easily. First up, let's talk about some of the materials and supplies that you'll need for some practice. One of the more popular pens to use for modern calligraphy is the Tombow dual head brush pen. It's dual headed and has a side for brush calligraphy and has a monoline pen head on the other side. Next, we have the Prismacolor brush pen, which is very similar to the Tombow, but only has one end for the brush and is a little bit more flexible. Faber-Castell also has a line of soft brush pens that you can use. And there's also options like using real brushes or the Pentouch brush pen, which is very similar to a real brush, but you can put water in the base of it. You're also going to need some computer paper, a flat edge or a ruler, and a pencil. Printer paper is great because it's smooth and doesn't offer any resistance to the tip of your pen. You can use textured papers, but the tip of your markers will wear down faster, so writing on computer paper will help the longevity of the pens that you're using. All right, let's make a drawing guide so we can learn some of these shapes. Using the flat edge, create 4 lines running parallel to each other with about 1/4 inch of space in between. Now that you've got your guide, let's talk about the spaces we're using. The X height is the main section of most calligraphy letters. All calligraphy letters will be placed or go through here. The ascenders is where the tall letter forms will go. So think of the letters like lowercase h and lowercase k. And the descenders is where your long letter forms will go, such as G and J. Next, let's review the 9 basic shapes of modern calligraphy. You've got an upstroke, a downstroke, an overturn, an underturn, a compound curve, an oval, an ascending loop, a descending loop, and a comma dot. The upstroke is a thin line using less pressure from your pen. It usually starts from the bottom left of the x-axis to the top right. The downstroke is a thicker line using more pressure from your pen and typically starts from the top of the x-axis down to the bottom. The underturn starts as a thick line and transforms into a thin line. Start off with more pressure and ease up into light pressure as you move through the stroke. An overturn starts as a thin line and transforms into a thick line. Start off with light pressure and move into more pressure during the stroke. The compound curve starts as a thin line, moves into a thicker line as a downstroke, and then on the upstroke becomes thin again. The oval is a basic O. Here's a pro tip. If you start slightly to the right of the top curve and move left and move upwards, this helps with connecting these letters to other shapes. The ascending loop starts with a thin line first and then moves upwards and then down into the downstroke. The descending loop starts with a thick line first and moves downwards to loop back around into the upstroke. Finally, the comma dot. This is a great connecting line for shapes such as the letter O or for punctuation like a comma or a period. Like any new skill, practice will help you perfect your craft. First, draw 5 L-shaped swirls, paying attention to the upstroke and the downstroke and the space between the letters. Next, reverse that shape and go the opposite way, again paying attention to the width and pressure that you're using between the shapes. Now we're going to try some S shapes, again paying attention to the pressure used in between each shape. Last but not least, we are going to focus on some teardrop spirals, focusing on the shift between the downstroke and the upstroke. Once you've learned the 9 basic shapes of calligraphy, it's time to put it all together and write the alphabet. Throughout this drill, I'll be using different colors to show the different strokes I'm using per letter. This is sped up so that way you can see the entire alphabet in a short amount of time, but while you're doing your practice, take your time while writing. Rushed writing really results in messy lines. Take your time and perfect each line and focus on the different strokes between the letters. And that's it. These are the basics of modern calligraphy. If you can learn these basic brushstrokes, you're well on your way to creating your own style of modern calligraphy alphabet. Later in this series, we'll look at different ways for you to put your own personal touch on your writing with different styles and tools. If you try this out, let me know. Post your progress and tag me in it. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up down below and subscribe to my channel. Share it with a friend. Post it on your Instagram, Facebook, MySpace. People use MySpace, so I hope you'll have a great weekend. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you next week. Bye! I really need to work on my jokes. These are not very good.